Welcome to Leaders of Tomorrow, India's only television platform for MSMEs. We bring you the biggest expert opinions and voices to empower you, the entrepreneur. Tonight on the show, we have two companies that we're featuring on Small Giants. First up is Fitternity. On the other side of a break, we will feature Paperless Postcards. Urban India is becoming more and more unhealthy, and while there is a multiplicity of options to keep you fit, whether it's swimming, whether it's dance lessons, whether it's yoga classes, finding that right option for you is often a challenge for many, and hoping to provide an answer to that very question and that problem is Fitternity. Karishma Manjani brings you more on this search engine which helps you find the best fit option for you when it comes to your fitness needs, depending on your location as well as pricing, amongst other things. Take a listen.
The gym. Millions of people frequent this place every day. Some strange and some, well, a little less strange. Today, we show you this urban wilderness like you've never seen before.
I wish I could go beyond the gym to stay fit. With the Indian startup ecosystem clocking daily growth due to entrepreneurs devising new and innovative strategies to attract customers, today, even the fitness arena stands transformed by these young minds. Aiming at unveiling disruptions in this sector, Leaders of Tomorrow catches up with a business that's leveraging the demands of a consumer who's looking to engage in more than one form of exercise. We catch up with Fitternity, an online fitness booking platform. Neha, thanks for joining us on Leaders of Tomorrow.
Thank you, Karishma. It's a pleasure.
Let's first start by talking about your business model. What is Fitternity offering the Indian consumers?
So Fitternity, at the core of it, is trying to make fitness accessible, easy and cost effective for the Indian consumers. At the base of the entire model is an integrated marketplace which basically joins the supply and the demand. What do I mean by that? I basically mean in a way that if there is a user who's wanting to get started in his or her fitness journey, Fitternity becomes a one-stop destination for him to get started. So, for example, if there's Karishma, she can actually get started in terms of finding her fitness options around her in a hyper-local environment. Second, depending on what phase she is in her fitness journey, she can actually transact. So one transaction is actually a membership purchase. Second is a paper session, which is workout anytime, anywhere. Third is a Fitternity Pro subscription, which is basically allowing her to get membership portability across different gyms and studios. So it's really activating not just the 7 million users who are currently working out, but actually 15 million users who have the potential in India to actually get started on their fitness and well-being journey.
Okay, so as you talk about the paper session, I want to pick on that point and talk to our viewers about how Fitternity is using that model to get more customers on board, and has it worked out for you?
Absolutely. So at the core of it, paper session works in terms of capsuling inventory, capsuling sessions which are singular sessions. Now these singular sessions could be across a gym, which could be a gym session on the floor, it could be a yoga class. It could be a yoga class, it could also be a swimming sessions at a five-star hotel, right? It's actually looking at infrastructure which is not just accessible but also not accessible across 5,000 outlets in the country. What we've done is we've capsuled inventory and given the user the ability to, one, book real time, two, book at flat out pricing, which is starting from rupees 299 going up to 749, and third is giving them ability to actually gamify the entire workout, pay only when they are working out, book in advance, and also gamify the experience in terms of tracking streaks and making sure that they actually work out at least twice a week.
True. So Neha, as we talk about consumers, I want to talk about your TG.
Right.
What age group is Fitternity targeting, and what has worked out for you in terms of which activity is getting more traction?
Our target audience is an online consumer in the age group of 25 to 35, male and female, with of course urban and metro city consumption. And also someone who is wanting to do something and has an intent to get started. So that's really the TG that we are after.
Okay, so Neha, as we talk about fitness trends, let's talk about the traction that you're getting on the platform in the beginning of the year. Are more consumers coming in, let's say after the New Year resolution that they make, or do you see a dull period by the end of the year?
So I think, as you rightly pointed out, I think one is the cyclical nature in terms of the New Year resolution period being that 1 month where you want to take fitness in your hands. So of course we see a surge in January, but overall I think what we've seen is that demand is now sort of constantly rising, right? Earlier we would see cyclical patterns of the first quarter being high and then low and then being high and then sort of again going lower towards the end of the year. But now we are seeing that consistently more and more consumers are getting started on fitness, and hence we are seeing a trend which is sort of increasing month on month.
So what have been the various revenue sources for you, and what's the key driver?
So the key driver is transaction volume, right? So Karishma transacts multiple times on Fitternity depending on what kind of transaction she is doing. So currently there are 3 main transactions. One transaction is to say that, hey, you know what, she wants to buy a Fitness First membership. She does not know where to get started. So she may even come to Fitternity to discover and say, hey, I live here, what are the different fitness activities around me? So Fitternity is being used as a de facto discovery platform, post which she's purchasing a membership at her studio or at her gym. That's one. Over there, we actually have a commission rate which we take on top of the transaction, right? Second model is basically a paper session model, which is where you're booking on the go. Over there, we not only make commission on the booking amount, but we also have surge pricing for peak hours and for transaction booking periods. The third is the Fitternity Pro model, which is a membership portability model that gives complete flexibility to the user throughout the year to make fitness consumption completely fungible for them in that entire period. And of course, over there, we're seeing again transaction volume sort of increase. So that's the B2C side of it, which is primarily transaction driven. On the B2B side of it, we're seeing insurance company tie-ups as well as corporates. Corporates increasingly want their employees to, of course, stay fit, right? We actually work with corporates and make their entire fitness welfare budget fungible. So gone are the days that you're sort of buying a membership for each of your employee, but you're actually telling them to go work out anywhere through Fitternity, and then you're only paying basis consumption, right? So there's a whole lot of online plus offline methodology that we're using with corporates.
So how much of this revenue is coming from the B2B space?
Currently over 98% is coming from the B2C model, because B2B is something that is just getting started. We just launched it in this quarter.
So you've got a model that's amalgamating the needs of fitness service centers and consumers. But let's talk about these centers. Except branding, how much of the sales has been impacted? How many consumers are coming to, let's say, Fitness First or any other gym through Fitternity?
So we work with about 4,500 centers. One of the key metrics that we track at our end is what percentage do we contribute to their overall sales, right? So that contribution percentage is super important to us, right? So currently, for example, it ranges anywhere between 5 to 20%. So if the gym is doing, let's say, 1 crore of sales, right, Fitternity currently contributes up to 20 lakhs, off that entire chunk that they are doing, right? And that's of course a number that we want to keep tracking and ensure that it actually reaches 50%.
So Neha, as we're talking about the market, let me talk about the tier 2, tier 3 cities. Are you targeting them?
Absolutely. We actually believe that while it is not something that we are looking at immediately, but in our 5-year plan, we actually intend to enter 50 cities. So what you require in Mumbai or in a Delhi is actually 10 times more of what you require in a Nagpur or in a Agra, right? Dance fitness as a category is a big trend that we are seeing in tier 2, tier 3, right? Because India is a dance country, right? And you can actually work out and lose calories while dancing, right? So we are basically seeing CrossFit, Zumba, multiple fitness activities actually emerge out of tier 2, tier 3, and is definitely going to be riding the wave in terms of growth that we see.
Okay, so let's talk about the sales that you're clocking annually.
So we are doing currently $5.5 million of sales, which is basically the volume of transaction that's happening on Fitternity on an annual basis.
So Neha, is Fitternity looking to raise more funds? And if yes, what are a few tips that you would like to share with our entrepreneurs out there, how they can attract investors?
Sure. So we are looking to raise funds. We've sort of raised 2 million out of our Series B round, and we're looking to raise another 6 million. So that's going to be a $8 million round for Fitternity. With respect to my advice to entrepreneurs is going to be, I think, simply hustle and be at it. Try and pick up mentors who can actually help and propel you, which is something that's worked really well for Fitternity. And second, of course, really understand the industry dynamics. Be sure of what the market is, what you're going after, how are your conversions doing, and pitch to the right investors rather than going all out and talking to 100 of them. Have a sniper approach, pick 10, get feedback, and do it in a structured manner.
Neha, we wish you the best of luck and thanks a lot for joining us on Leaders of Tomorrow.
Thank you so much.
With increase in income levels and the growing population, Fitternity gets a great opportunity to prove its business model. As more and more people want to stay fit and healthy, niche health sites like Fitternity expect an upward trajectory in the next few years.
Take a break. On the other side, Paperless Postcards is attempting to create a difference in the digital brand space. How are they doing that? More when we come back. Welcome back with us here on Leaders of Tomorrow, and tonight on the show we're featuring Paperless Postcards. Having a digital presence is extremely crucial no matter what the size of your business is, but having a digital presence that strikes a chord with your consumers and also is top of mind is even more critical. Tapping into that need is Paperless Postcards. Shubhangi Sinha caught up with this company to understand how they're creating minimalistic content that is top of mind as far as brand recall is concerned. Take a listen.
When I say the word postcards, you're perhaps transported to a bygone era. But bringing back the magical charm of postcards and meaningful conversations is Mumbai-based company Paperless Postcards. Founded over 2 years ago by Bishriti Podar, this company of young creative minds is redefining successful brand messaging. Thank you so much for speaking with us today.
Pleasure, Shubhangi. Thanks
So
for inviting
let
me.
us start by talking to you about what really was the inspiration behind starting this company. I understand that you're a huge fan of non-fiction. So what was the eureka moment perhaps?
So there is this quote by A.D. Pose that writing fiction is fun, but writing non-fiction is life-changing. So that is essentially the genesis of Paperless Postcards. However, I have spent 8 valuable years in the digital industry, and having worked with some phenomenal companies like Bewakoof, Havas, Sci-Fi, they gave me that kind of exposure to understand digital consumerism, and hence I clubbed innovation, creativity, impact and non-fiction to create something so wonderful like Paperless Postcards.
Now, taking your point forward about digital consumerism, now I want to understand from you that why do you really think it is so important for a brand to have a very strong messaging when it comes to being present online? Why do you think it's important? How do you think Paperless Postcards is achieving that?
So we have a community that is clocking close to 3 million people reach every week, and more than 5 million impressions a week. And I feel for brands or anybody who is in the digital space, it's very, very significant for everybody to have an online presence, because in order to have that kind of consumer retention, it's extremely imperative for any brand to be in the online space, because if, for example, if I want to follow a brand, or if you are trying to achieve my loyalty, I would definitely look up for you on the online space. And if you are there doing some remarkable job, I think that is something that adds up to your credibility as a brand.
Right, so now you also believe in creating conversations which are not already taking place elsewhere. So whether it's breaking taboos or breaking stereotypes, you've tried to create the air of conversation, perhaps, if I can call it that. How do you think you're really being able to do that, and what does it really take to be able to create those conversations and put them out on a digital platform?
So I am personally an extremely observant person, and I find people around me very funny. So I'll tell you this really interesting dialogue that I had with this gentleman. He was a snob marketer. I'm being slightly sarcastic there, a gentleman and a snob marketer. So we started chatting up, and he popped the question suddenly that, Bishriti, has anybody told you that you're arrogant? Perhaps because I'm this opinionated girl who has a mind of her own. So I smiled and I told him, yes, all insecure men have. And that was this moment when I felt that I am going to go back and I'm going to put it up on my community. And till date, it is one of our best sellers on the community. So that is essentially how we operate. So we source raw conversations, raw dialogues, day-to-day dialogues that are stereotype breaking or perspective changing or status quo changing. We source these conversations, we brainstorm with the team. Then we convert these conversations into consumable content which is suitable and conducive to the digital readers, and then put it live. So the process is primarily simple. It isn't a cakewalk. However, when it comes to identifying what is it that would really make a mark or make that kind of impact on a community is hard work. For example, you never know, you may become my next protagonist on the conversation from the dialogues that we are having right now. So this is primarily what we do.
Right, so now talking to you about the kind of conversations that you are creating and taking that point forward perhaps. Now you collaborate with a number of companies and a different variety of companies as well, who obviously have very different content demands. So what do you really think is the fact or perhaps the relatability in your content which helps it strike a chord with so many people? What is it that you really think is working so well with Paperless Postcards?
So there are a few USPs. I would like to probably answer this question in this way, that there are some brand USPs that we have dedicatedly taken care of, and that is detailing, brand tonality across what we do. So the biggest reason also is that our design really stands out. The kind of brand positioning that we have achieved over the time, that really speaks for itself. So when we call it Paperless Postcards, we made sure that the creatives should be in a postcard theme. The biggest reason being that we are non-fiction. It is happening in our daily lives. It is not made up, it is not superficial, it is not intimidating or frivolous, it is just raw. It is subtle yet powerful. It is simple yet effective, and that is the reason I think the driving force of our success. We've collaborated with biggies like Cipla and Star World Premier. So as an entrepreneur, as a person who's spearheading something like this as a concept, it was very important for me to identify that we diversify as well. So not just the conversations on our platform, on our social community that's doing well, but if we move towards our website is clocking more than 50,000 weekly sessions. And something interesting that we've done even on our website is converting these conversations into short stories with a plot twist. So there is a bit of an innovation even there. So everything what we have done is extremely innovatively designed and thought from an angle that no matter what we do, there has to be one brand resonance that is flowing across every effort and every venture that we do.
Right, so I think those are extremely unique and beautiful numbers that you have going for you. Now what I want to also ask you is that when you try and make a product this unique, it obviously becomes niche as well at one point in time. So what perhaps would then be your top tips to people who are in similar markets, in niche markets, to be able to stay relevant, to be able to make a mark?
I feel the most important and the most imperative thing is that please don't be a clone, don't just copy paste things. It is very easy to create a page just because you want to be popular, but the most important ingredient is to have a purpose behind it, have your cause very, very strong, because success is only a consequence. For us, we did not create Paperless Postcards because we wanted to be popular. We created Paperless Postcards because we wanted to impact lives, inspire lives, one postcard at a time, and we have been able to achieve it primarily because the cause was greater than a consequence. Success was just an after effect of all the effort.
Right, so now when you're creating content of this kind, there's also a little bit of concern when it comes to policing of the content, or when it comes to the intolerance that is perhaps seen, because online is a platform which is accessible to so many, and not everybody will have a shared ideology with the writer or the creator of the content. So how do you really think you're able to overcome this challenge?
We have to be extremely responsible when it comes to creating content, because we are in a space which is extremely intolerant, like you said, and very sensitive. So as a team, we think from a perspective of a digital reader, and we try to brainstorm ideas that are extremely sensitive and treated thoughtfully. So that is something that we absolutely focus on and take care of. But then I think we've been very blessed and fortunate to have got fans who absolutely love us, and we've not really been ridiculed or criticized so much, but then as a brand, it's just very wise to be extremely open to criticism, if at all there are any.
Paperless Postcards' first book will be releasing soon, and we have managed to get a sneak peek for you. Its meticulous design mirrors their eye for detail when it comes to powerful, albeit minimalistic content, and gives non-fiction writing for the masses a new address.
Out of time on our show. If you feel that you have what it takes to be featured here on the show, here's how you let us know. leadersoftomorrow@timesgroup.com is our email ID. You can also reach us on social media. We're at Sunanda_J. That's my personal Twitter handle, or LOT_ET now. You can also reach us on our Facebook page, Leaders of Tomorrow on ET Now. Thanks for watching. Have a good night.